Beneath the limestone walls of St. Catherine's Convent in Savannah, Georgia, lies a sealed chapel, untouched since 1749. Inside, the Catholic Church attempted to destroy 23 pages of correspondence describing an impossible truth that shattered every religious principle of colonial America. Sister Marie Terzlaer, 51, head of the convent's disciplinary committee and known for her rigid enforcement of chastity, was pregnant. The father was Thomas, a 17-year-old enslaved man owned by the convent. Sister Marie Terz did not hide her condition. She proclaimed it a miracle from God. Tonight, after 275 years of silence, we reveal what happened behind those convent doors. If dark historical mysteries fascinate you, make sure to subscribe to The Forgotten Liturgy and hit that notification bell, because stories this shocking don't appear in any history book. Drop your state or city in the comments. I love knowing where our community is listening from. Now, let's step back to 1748 Savannah. Savannah in 1748 was a place of peculiar contradiction, a city founded on utopian principles that had quickly abandoned the ban on slavery, its economy now resting on the backs of hundreds of enslaved people. St. Catherine's Convent, established by French Catholic missionaries, served as a spiritual retreat and school, housing 18 nuns and owning 9 enslaved people. Sister Marie Terzlaer had arrived 7 years earlier from Quebec, renowned for her uncompromising devotion and military precision in enforcing monastic discipline. Her presence alone terrified the younger nuns. Among the convent's enslaved workers was 17-year-old Thomas, who held a unique position. Purchased 3 years prior, he possessed an unusual and dangerous literacy taught by his previous owner. The convent utilized this skill, employing Thomas primarily in the library to manage correspondence and records. He moved through the convent's forbidden spaces, the library, the chapel, like a ghost, his youth and education making him seem less threatening. Sister Marie Terz, who noticed everything, viewed him only as another tool for the convent's operation. The oppressive summer of 1748 brought subtle changes. Sister Marie Terz's prayer schedule, previously predictable, shifted to odd hours, sometimes past midnight. She claimed the Holy Spirit called her to more intensive prayer, and no one dared question the woman who embodied devotion. The first crack in the facade appeared on October 3, 1748. Sister Agnes Fontaine discovered bloodstains on Sister Marie Terz's nightdress in the laundry. At 51, Sister Marie Terz had not menstruated in 4 years, and the impossible knowledge burned inside Sister Agnes. 3 weeks later, during morning services, Sister Marie Terz fainted. Sister Catherine Mercier, the medical attendant, examined her 3 times, certain of an error, before finally writing the impossible truth in the medical log. Patient presents with symptoms consistent with early pregnancy. The meeting convened that same evening in Mother Superior Josephine's office, attended by the Mother Superior, Sister Marie Terz, the medical attendant, Sister Catherine Mercier, and Chaplain Father Benedict Hammond. Sister Catherine presented her findings, stating with a rare boldness, "This is not a tumor. I've attended 17 births in this town. This is a pregnancy." When pressed for the truth, Sister Marie Terz, sitting with perfect serenity, delivered a claim that would echo for generations. "It is a blessing from God. The Lord has chosen me as his vessel just as he chose the Virgin Mary. I have been faithful to my vows." The silence was suffocating. Father Hammond was left to send an urgent, horrified message to the Archbishop in Charleston. Sister Marie Terz was confined to her cell, but the secret was already spreading like cholera through Savannah. In the enslaved quarters, Thomas, the 17-year-old librarian, sat in silence, but those who knew him noticed his profound distress. He had stopped eating, his hands trembled, and they heard him weeping late at night. The Archbishop's response arrived with remarkable speed. Sister Marie Terz was to be examined by a panel of 3 physicians and interrogated by church officials. The 3 physicians' report was definitive. The patient exhibits all standard markers of natural conception. We find no evidence of medical anomaly or divine intervention. The interrogation began, led by Bishop Marcus Fenwick. Over 3 days, Sister Marie Terz never wavered, calmly maintaining her claim of divine intervention. The interrogators changed tactics, using the meticulous schedule log she had implemented to question her unusual visits to the library and a locked storage chapel on 17 separate occasions. The final blow came when Bishop Fenwick asked, "Sister, do you know a young man named Thomas?" For the first time, Sister Marie Turds hesitated. Thomas, granted an audience after sending a carefully written note, stood before the bishop and revealed a truth far more complex than a simple broken vow. He confirmed Sister Marie Turds was not exactly lying. She had maintained her vows, as there was no physical contact. But the pregnancy was not divine. It was artificial insemination. Sister Marie Turds had read about the controversial procedure in forbidden French scientific journals in the convent's library. She approached Thomas, claiming she was conducting a religious experiment to prove devotion could transcend nature. The procedure was scientific. Thomas would deposit reproductive material into a clean glass vessel, which Sister Marie Turds would then transfer into herself using a specially commissioned syringe, purchased under the pretense of being for sick animals. Thomas initially refused, knowing that if discovered, the inevitable conclusion would lead to his immediate execution. But Sister Marie Turds used the one form of leverage he couldn't resist. She promised him freedom. She showed him draft manumission papers, personally committing to securing his freedom before the child was born. 7 attempts failed. The 8th attempt, on August 12th, resulted in pregnancy. Thomas confirmed that he provided the biological component in an adjacent chamber, never seeing or touching Sister Marie Turds. The pregnancy was the result of a scientific procedure she had meticulously memorized. This revelation stunned Bishop Fenwick and Father Donnelly. It wasn't conventional adultery, but a calculated, premeditated subversion, an attempt to game theological loopholes and achieve pregnancy while claiming technical virginity. When asked why he confessed, given that Sister Marie Turds had offered him freedom, Thomas S.'s response was driven by a pain deeper than fear, because she lied to me. He had seen the real documents and realized the freedom papers were forgeries. Sister Marie Turds had no authority to manumit him. She had put his life in mortal danger for her own theological vanity. The bishop immediately confined Thomas for protection, as mobs, led by plantation owners like Harrison Devo, were already gathering, calling for his execution. The church convened an ecclesiastical tribunal on November 15, 1748, in the sealed chapel. Sister Marie Turds, 6 months pregnant, stood before them with serene defiance, arguing, "God created nature. God created science. If I use tools he provided to achieve his will, how is that different from any other miracle?" She presented a sophisticated defense, claiming only to have made herself available to God's will. The tribunal's composure broke when they brought up the forged documents. Sister Marie Turds' defense faltered only slightly, claiming Thomas misunderstood her intent to petition for his freedom. But Cardinal Hartley, his voice rising, pointed to the reality. Mobs were calling for Thomas's execution. After hearing that a mob had attempted to break into the convent, the tribunal reconvened with urgency. Their decision was swift. Sister Marie Turds would be immediately defrocked and permanently exiled from Georgia, confined in Charleston until the birth. The child would be placed with a Catholic family, and she would never be allowed contact with it. Crucially, Thomas would be sold to a Catholic merchant in Boston for protection, ensuring his safety, but killing the promise of freedom. Sister Marie Turds accepted the judgment without visible emotion, asking only what they would tell the people. Cardinal Hartley stated they would tell the truth. A woman who once served the church fell prey to pride and deception. The child is evidence of sin, not blessing. But Sister Marie Turds smiled, a small knowing expression, and countered, "You can tell them whatever you wish. But when people see a healthy infant born to a woman who was 51 when conceived, what will they believe? Your carefully prepared explanation, or their own eyes?" The birth occurred on February 9, 1749, in a secretly rented modest house in Charleston, attended by 3 sworn midwives, Dr. Drayton, and the 2 nuns who knew the secret, Sister Agnes Fontaine and Sister Catherine Mercier. The 3 women lived in total isolation in Charleston. Dr. Drayton monitored the pregnancy weekly, confessing in his journal his increasing amazement and confusion. A healthy fetus thriving in a 51-year-old woman whose body should have been absolutely barren. The pregnancy proceeded better than normally, forcing him to question whether medical science truly understood female reproduction. Labor began on the afternoon of February 9th. Sister Marie Terz, refusing the offered laudanum, demanded full awareness and experience of the birth. She refused the birthing chair and insisted on delivering in bed, determined to watch this child enter the world. After 4 hours of grueling pushing, and a moment when Dr. Drayton feared the labor had stalled, Sister Marie Terz summoned the same iron will that defined her life, pushing with everything she had. At 3:17 in the morning on February 10th, a strong, healthy baby girl, weighing 6 lbs 4 oz, emerged. Dr. Drayton, relieved, intervened against the church's order for immediate separation, granting Sister Marie Terz 12 minutes of contact to prevent dangerous postpartum melancholy. Holding her daughter, she whispered words of triumph mixed with grief. "They will say I manufactured you, but I know the truth. I was barren. Yet you exist. You are my testimony. You are my answer to everyone who says faith and knowledge cannot coexist." At 3:29, the infant was removed, the closing door sounding impossibly final. Sister Marie Terz turned her face to the wall and did not speak for 3 days. The next day, the adoptive family, Jonathan and Susanna Redmond of Virginia, arrived. Bishop Fenwick handed them the infant, instructing them to claim the child as their own, never revealing the truth. The church provided falsified baptismal records and witnesses to support their story. They named the child Charlotte, baptizing her on February 20th in Richmond, effectively erasing her true origins. Sister Marie Terz remained in the residence for 2 months. Physically, she healed quickly, surprising Dr. Drayton. Mentally, however, she broke. She refused to eat or pray, staring at walls for hours. At night, the other nuns heard her weeping, long sessions of silent tears that seemed to drain her remaining strength. The departure of her child led to Sister Marie Terz's complete psychological collapse. Sister Catherine recognized this as the breaking of an unbreakable will, fearing she might harm herself. During this time, Sister Marie Terz wrote extensively, letters, theological arguments, and personal reflections, the only activity that kept her from despair. Most of these writings were destroyed by church officials, but 3 letters survived, hidden by a sympathetic young priest, Father Michael O'Brien. In the first letter, dated March 5th, she defended the pregnancy as a partnership with divine purpose, arguing that using God's knowledge to achieve the impossible was faith made manifest. In the second, dated March 15th, she expressed grievous sin regarding Thomas, acknowledging she lied to him, manipulated his hope for liberty, and deserved damnation, not for the pregnancy, but for how I treated another human being as a tool. The final letter, March 29th, questioned the church's hypocrisy, asking if science used for spiritual gain was less divine than ritual, wondering if she would be remembered as a heretic or pioneer. The churchiest final sentence was delivered in April. Sister Marie Terz was exiled to the Convent of the Sacred Heart in Quebec, a cloistered community of perpetual silence. She would be forced to take new vows of absolute silence and obedience, and official records would list her as having died in Charleston in 1749, effectively erasing her existence. Before leaving, she asked Bishop Fenwick the fate of her daughter, Charlotte. The answer was final. Absolutely nothing. Her true origin will be spoken aloud within the church, no more. Sister Marie Terz departed for Quebec on April 23rd, and on May 27th, she entered the convent, taking her place among the silent sisters, seemingly already spiritually elsewhere. Her ultimate fate is unknown. The convent burned in 1763, and official records remain falsified. Meanwhile, Thomas's journey proved perilous. Sold to merchant Isaac Peaton in Boston, the church paid extra to ensure Peaton kept his origins secret. Thomas, working as an educated clerk, kept his head down, but Boston's hostile Puritan climate had already been inflamed by rumors of the Savannah scandal. Reverend Jonathan Cole of the Old North Church became obsessed, preaching sermons about papist deception and a conspiracy involving nuns and enslaved people, determined to expose Thomas and the scandal threatening New England's moral purity. The situation for Thomas in Boston became critical on March 7, 1749, when a sailor's careless tavern talk confirmed that the enslaved man from the Catholic scandal was in the city. Reverend Jonathan Cole, obsessed with exposing papist deception, quickly identified Thomas at Isaac Peaton's warehouse. On March 10th, Cole and his followers demanded Thomas be surrendered. Peaton, valuing his business over the life of an enslaved man, refused but understood the danger. Boston's constables would not protect Thomas from a larger mob. The following night, Peaton arranged Thomas's immediate transport. He was sent to Halifax, Nova Scotia, aboard the ship Providence, sold to merchant William Barrett for warehouse work. Peaton assured Thomas that Halifax was far enough from the religious wars. The 12-day voyage ended on March 23, 1749, in Halifax, a rough, recently founded British outpost. Barrett, a pragmatic Scottish merchant, valued Thomas's literacy and skills. Thomas settled into a tolerable routine, managing records and inventory, far better than he'd expected. However, the brutal Halifax winter of 1749-1750 proved deadlier than any mob. Temperatures froze the harbor, food ran short, and illness plagued the settlement. Thomas survived the first winter barely, weakened by malnutrition and a persistent cough. The historical record for Thomas ends abruptly in September 1750. Due to Halifax's incomplete and chaotic early records, his fate is unknowable. Historians theorize he may have successfully negotiated manumission with Barrett, died during the catastrophic winter of 1750-1751, or joined a group of free black settlers near Preston, Nova Scotia. Regardless, Thomas, one more powerless person destroyed by external forces, vanished from history, his voice preserved only in his testimony before the Charleston Tribunal. Meanwhile, Charlotte, the child at the center of the scandal, lived a completely different life. The Redmonds raised her in Richmond, Virginia, providing a prosperous and educated upbringing. Charlotte grew into an intelligent, serious-minded young woman, marrying a merchant's son and raising 4 children. Though outwardly content, her correspondence reveals a persistent, vague sense of disconnection. In a letter dated June 1771, she wrote, "Sometimes I feel as though I'm living someone else's life, Mother. I look in the mirror and wonder whose face I'm seeing." Her mother, Susanna Redmond, carefully deflected her worries, insisting such thoughts meant nothing. Charlotte Fitzgerald, born Redmond, lived to the age of 73, dying in 1822, surrounded by family. Her obituary praised her exemplary character, but she never knew the extraordinary circumstances of her birth or the scandal that defined her mother's life. Though she occasionally questioned her lack of physical resemblance to her parents, her questions never received answers that disturbed her peaceful ignorance. St. Catherine's Convent never recovered. Enrollment collapsed, and the Catholic Church closed it permanently in 1758. During the conversion into warehouses, the storage chapel, where Sister Marie Turs performed the procedures, was deliberately sealed with brick walls, eliminating any physical trace of the scandal. The closure fractured the local Catholic community, and Protestant ministers used the incident for years as proof of Catholic moral corruption. Mother Superior, Josephine Beaumont, lived with profound guilt, feeling she had brought a woman whose devotion had twisted into something unknowable. The other nuns, like Sister Agnes Fontaine and Sister Catherine Mercier, carried the burden of what they had witnessed. The perfect child born against all medical probability. Thomas's owner in Halifax, William Barrett, mentioned him only once more, noting that Thomas had departed my service, and that he didn't inquire too closely, recognizing Thomas carried shadows that follow them everywhere. Thomas truly vanished from history. When Charlotte died, her daughter found a small box containing her mother's wedding ring and, curiously, a single page torn from the Bible, Luke's account of the Annunciation, with the phrases, "How shall this be, seeing I know not a man? And for with God nothing shall be impossible," underlined. The significance of these verses to Charlotte remains a final, unresolved mystery. The Church never officially acknowledged the scandal, preferring silence over accountability. By 1800, the story had devolved into vague legend. Dr. Drayton, in his final journal entry before his death, reflected on the case that troubled him for 22 years, concluding, "Was it miracle? Was it medicine? Was it simply nature proving our understanding incomplete? I die not knowing, and perhaps that is as it should be. The truth, documented in scattered surviving letters, confirms that a 51-year-old woman bore a healthy child in 1749, causing a scandal the Church desperately tried to erase. Sister Marie Tertz's actions, whether genuine faith or elaborate rationalization, remain a testament to a moment when a person's focused determination shook religious doctrine, medical understanding, and social order. This scandal reminds us that history's most disturbing mysteries often involve real people whose lives were destroyed by forces beyond their control and institutions that valued reputation over justice. What do you think of Sister Marie Tertz's actions? Was she a woman of genuine faith who believed knowledge and devotion could coexist? Or was she simply driven by pride and ambition? And what about Thomas, an innocent person whose only crime was desperate hope for freedom? Leave your comment below with your thoughts. If you enjoyed this dark tale from America's hidden past, subscribe to The Forgotten Liturgy. Hit that notification bell and share this video with someone who loves historical mysteries that challenge everything we think we understand.